Hello students, myself Kalpana Singh, your biology teacher. Today, as I've told you earlier, I'll just complete the remaining section of the chapter Heredity and Evolution of class 10th biology. So as I've told you earlier also, this time because of the pandemic period, your syllabus has been reduced and only the heredity section from the heredity and evolution is coming, and they just deduct the complete evolution section from the chapter. So I'll start the chapter with the heredity definition. I've explained it earlier also what is heredity. So heredity is a process of passing traits or characters from the parents to the offspring or the progeny. So whatever the characters that are related to or affect the genes, that is carried out from the parents, from the mother and from the father, and that is continue in the generation to generation, all are the part of or the related to the heredity section. Now after heredity, who is known as the father of genetics? This also we have discussed. The Gregor John Mendel, the Austrian monk, was known as to be the father of genetics because he was the first person who just gave a theory regarding the heredity, and he was also responsible for bringing up the mathematical portion of probability in the bio subject. After that, now dominant traits that expresses itself or that rules, that are known as dominant trait and expresses itself in the presence or absence of the recessive trait. Another trait, contrasting trait, is the recessive trait. Whether the recessive traits are present or not present doesn't mean for the dominant gene. So for the dominant trait, whether the recessive genes are present or not present, it doesn't matter for the dominant trait. Whereas in recessive trait, of course, expresses itself only in the absence of the dominant trait. When the dominant traits, the capital part or the ruling traits are absent, only in that condition the recessive traits become the dominant trait and expresses itself. So this is the major difference between the dominant and recessive trait, very important. For the examination point of view, the concept should be very much clear. That is why I am repeating again in this video also. After that, some important terms related to heredity and evolution, or we can say related to the genetic section of the biology. What are they? First of all, alleles. Very interesting. See, as you know, we have gone through in the reproduction chapter of the biology that whether the male or the female, every person has the pair of genes, right? Gene never exists in a solitary form. It always exists in the form of pairs, right? So alleles are what? Alleles are actually the different phases or different types of the same gene. What are alleles? Different forms of the given gene. For example, we have discussed the 7 factors or the traits that has been selected by the Mendel in the garden pea plant. So let's take one example of one of that factor, that is tallness. So for the tallness is a trait or character, right? For this character, pair of gene is there, right? And for that pair of gene, one letter, that is capital T, expresses as a dominant trait and the small t represent itself as a recessive trait. So two different traits, so two different types of a same gene known as alleles. Capital T, small t represents the alleles of the character tallness, genes tallness. So alleles are what? Different forms of the given gene. For example, if you are talking about the height of a plant, so what are the alleles? Capital T and small t. Capital T allele responsible for the tallness of the plant. Small t allele that is responsible for the dwarfness of the plant. So capital T and small t. Capital T and small t are the alleles related to the gene responsible for the tallness of the plant. Now next is the phenotype. Very interesting. One more term, that is phenotype. Phenotype means refers to the observable physical appearance, the thing that we can see from our naked eyes. That means what kind of things we can see? We can see the color of the flower, we can see the shape of the seed, we can see the color of the seed, we can see the height of the plant. That is all are the physical character that we can observe, right? So phenotype refers to the observable physical appearance of the organism, like capital T, a small t, that is the tallness of the plant, then the RR, that is the shape of the seed, color of the seed, shape of the pod. So these are the things that we can visualize with our eyes, known as the phenotypic characters. Next is the genotypic, as the name refers, related to the genes, that expresses the genes. I mean, for the physical appearance, suppose we say we are talking about the tallness of the plant, how much a plant is tall or dwarf, that we can see, that is a physical character. How this physical character decided? It is definitely decided by certain genes. That gene may be, that is again the alleles. What alleles? The recessive or dominant? So they all are, you said, the genotypic features. So genotype क्या हुआ? Refers to the genetic code responsible for given phenotype. Phenotype, we are talking about the tallness. The tallness that is given by a particular gene code that refers to the genotype. I mean, it is different, specific for the specific factor, right? So the capital T, small t, or we can say genotype responsible for the tallness, small t responsible for the dwarfness. Now next is, the fourth one is the homozygous. Homo means what? Identical. Homo means identical. Homozygous means the type of the genes that are identical. That is the pure one. That we can explain later on in this chapter or in the further classes. The homozygous refers to the conditions when same type of the allele is present for given phenotype. Like capital T, both are tall, both are identical, both are same. Such type of combination is homozygous. R, capital R, again homozygous combination. Small r, homozygous combination. Small t, homozygous means when both the pairs are identical, that are known as homozygous. Reverse of it is the heterozygous. Hetero means two different, contrasting. That means different alleles are present, like capital T, small t, capital R, small r. Both pairs are different, contrasting. So such pairs are known as heterozygous. So these are the important terms related to the genetics, very important to understand all the basic of the your genetics. So students, now let's talk about the monohybrid cross. Now from this topic, the mathematical portion that has been included by the Mendel is coming, and you have to understand it very carefully, because you can get the maximum or the full marks in it, and the probability section is very much simple here. So concentrate yourself for this. Monohybrid cross means, mono means what? Single. So here we are talking about the single factor. Mendel, as you know, selected 7 factors. So we'll take any one of it, and that we will continue up to the F2 generation. We'll get the result and we'll calculate the percentage or the ratio up to the F2 generation. When you do it up to the F2 generation only, then you get the full marks, and if you leave it with up to the F1 generation or like so you didn't get marks. So you have to complete it till F2 generation. How it will going on? This I am going to solve it on the blackboard. So see it very carefully. Suppose we are taking the one factor, because it is example of monohybrid cross. So I'll take one example, and I'll take the trait tallness. I'll take the trait, that is the tallness of the plant. So as I have told you, the genes always exist in the pairs. So tallness T, and on the other side T. I mean one from the male or another from the female, any one of it. So whenever we write, we have to encircle it. This is the method, right? And after making a combination of it, what we will get? First of all, this is in the we have first step we have to separate it, right? What we have to do? We have to separate capital T over here and small t. Up to this stage, this is called gametes. Haplontic means N. These are diplontic, means 2N. Very much careful writing all this, and you have to mention every step in this section. So when we bring it up to the haplontic gamete stage, then we'll make a cross. How we make this cross? We have to 1, 2, 3, 4. Then from this side, the first small t, first it joins with 1 alternately, 3, and here another one, again alternately 2 and 4. In first part we have to draw just simply 2 lines from each genes, 1, 2, 3, 4, and on another side small t, it will join alternately 1, 3 and 2 and 4. And what the combinations it forms? This is called F1 generation, right? And what is the phenotypic appearance of the plant? When dominating T is there, definitely plant will be tall. This is tall. Again, this one is also tall because capital T is there. So all the 4 examples are tall. That means when we cross dominant trait tallness with the dwarf trait of tallness, all the examples, all of the offsprings in the F1 generation are all tall. Now we'll select any 2 of it for the F2 generation. Then what we will do? Now you can see this is homozygous, this one is again homozygous, whereas in F2 generation both are heterozygous, contrasting. Now if we cross them, then what will happen? First again we have to bring it in haplontic stage, that means capital T, small t, capital T, small t. Then make a combination 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 alternately 3, 2, 4. Then what are the combinations? T, T, here T, T. Again we get 4 offsprings, and what are they? Physically it appears because capital T is there, it is tall, and these 2 because capital T is there, again tall, and the 4th one because both are small t. So offspring will be dwarf. So now we have to calculate. What we have to calculate? We have to calculate first of all phenotypic ratio, genotypic ratio. So what will be the phenotypic ratio? Phenotypic ratio, appearance. How many will be the tall and how many will be the dwarf? Here you can see 3 out of 4 are the tall one and the fourth one is dwarf. So ratio will be 3:1. 3 tall, 1 is dwarf. Right? And now we'll come to the genotypic ratio. What will be the genotypic ratio? What the gene shows? Homozygous tall, 1. Heterozygous tall, 2. Different type of combination. And again homozygous dwarf, 1. So ratio will be 1:2:1. 1 हो गया homozygous tall, 2 is heterozygous tall, and again the last one is homozygous dwarf. So if the question has been asked in the ratio form, then you have to write it in this form. But if they'll ask in the form of percentage, then 3:1 means 75% is to 25%, 3:1. And regarding 1:2:1, 25% is to 50% is to again 25%. This you can practice by taking different combinations of monohybrid cross. Here I am taking tallness. You can take the shape of the seed, that is round or wrinkled, capital R, small r. Color of the flower, yellow or green, so capital Y, small y. Then the so many 7 combinations you have, so you can practice it with different 7 combinations. So this is one method. Another method is of Punnett square. Same thing is there, that is on you ki which type you are taking. So you can take it, write it or solve it in this form. This is again simple one. And another form is Punnett square, that I'll also explain here. What you have to do there? You have to make one square and divide it into again 4 chambers. Here you have to write capital T, here small t, small t. So you get capital T, small t, capital T, small t. This is F1 generation. Both are same, whether you solve it with the Punnett square or you solve it in this way. Okay? So this is F1 generation and all the plants are tall. Now for the F2 generation, again you have to make Punnett square. What will be the combination? What will be the combination? Capital T, small t, capital T, small t. That means capital T, small t, capital T, small t. Combination will be one is homozygous tall, 2 is heterozygous tall, and 1 is homozygous dwarf. The ratio will be 1:2:1. This is the phenotypic ratio. And genotypic ratio is, phenotypic ratio will be 3:1, 3 tall and 1 dwarf. And genotypic ratio will be 1:2:1. 1 is homozygous tall, 2 is heterozygous tall, and 1 is homozygous dwarf. So both are simple form, that is up to you which in which way you are going to solve it. So this is all about monohybrid cross. Now I will explain regarding the second section of it, that is the dihybrid cross. As the name refers, di means what? Di means 2. So instead of taking one factor or trait, we'll take 2 factor together and solve it up to F2 generation. It is bit difficult as compared to monohybrid cross, but if you do the practice, if you practice it, then again it will be simple to understand. Next is dihybrid cross. Here we study, what we study? The 2 factors. What do we 2 factors? Suppose I'll take what the factors? Tallness, and another I'll take the shape of the seed, that is round. Tallness, what is the contrasting one? Dwarf one. And what is the contrasting of round? That is wrinkled. right? This you have to remember. Now, what I'll do here, capital T, capital T, capital R. On another side, small t, small t, small r, small r. Why now they are 4? Because I am taking 2 factors, 2 traits or 2 characteristics, right? So, instead of doing it, in any other form, we'll do a simple shortcut, because as we know in F1 generation, all the offsprings are same. So here, all are same, having the factors like capital T, small t, capital R, small r. This is F1 generation. Right? Now, for F2 generation, what we have to do? We have to make one big Punnett square, because without that, it cannot be possible for us to understand this. So, in this section, for F2, we have to make a huge box or the Punnett square. Right? 4 horizontal and 4 vertical lines we have to draw, so that we got 16 cubes, right? And then we have to make a combination. First with the capital T. Capital T joins first with capital R and then with the small r. Now then the small t, first it join or combine with capital R, then with the small r. That means capital T, capital R, capital T, small r, small t, capital R, small t, small r. Same thing we have to write here on another side. That means capital T, capital R, then capital T, small r, then small t, capital R, small t, small r. Now we have to make a combination like this. So in this section, what will be the combination? T, T, R, R. Another one, T, T, R, R. Another T, T, R, R. Then T, T, R, R. Here, this and this. On second square, this, and the third one, this and this one, and the fourth, this one and this one. Similarly, in the second row, capital T, small, capital R, small r, then capital T, small r, then capital T, small t, capital R, small r, here capital T, small t, small r, small r. Now in the third row, capital T, small t, capital R, capital T, small t, capital R, small r, then small t, capital R, and the last one, small t, capital R, small r. Now for the last fourth one, what will be the combination? T, T, capital T, small t, R, R, capital R, small r. Here, capital T, small r, small r. Here, small t, capital R, small r. Small t, small r, small r. Now, if we'll study all this combination, capital T, capital R means tall and round. How many? It will always 9. It will always 9. That means tall and round. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. It is always fixed, 9. Then capital T, small r means what? Tall and wrinkled. How many? It is again fixed, 3. tall and wrinkled, tall and wrinkled. I'll make a sign over here. Tall and wrinkled, 2. Then tall and wrinkled. So fixed, 3. Third one, small t capital R means what? Dwarf and round. Again it is fixed, 3. Dwarf and round. Find it out. Dwarf and round. Double tick, I'll just make it over here. Dwarf and round, 2. Dwarf and round, 3. So it is always 3. And the last one, dwarf and wrinkled. It is always 1. Whether it is tall, whether it is round, whether it is dwarf, whether it is wrinkled, these all are the phenotypic. So all these are called the phenotypic ratio. So in F2 generation, what will be the phenotypic ratio? That is 9:3:3:1. It is fixed. So this is the mathematical portion, a part of probability that is included by Mendel in his experiment, and that we have to learn, that we know how to solve it. So I'll just show you the monohybrid cross, how we solve it up to the F2 generation, and the next one is the dihybrid cross, and this again we have to solve it up to the F2 generation. One thing is left. You must ask, ma'am, you have just explained the phenotypic ratio in this dihybrid cross, why not the genotypic ratio? As you have seen, phenotypic ratio itself becomes so complicated, calculation is so long, 9:3:3:1. So if we talk about the genotypic ratio, it is too long and complicated. That is not included in the course. So in your course, it is only up to the phenotypic ratio. Because it is, if it is asked in the ratio, then you have to write it here again. Percentage, it won't be asked in आपका dihybrid cross because it is complicated. So percentage, it will ask only in the monohybrid cross. So these are the two crosses that we study over here, and you do practice taking different examples at home. Now student, after the monohybrid cross and dihybrid cross solution, we'll move to the summary of Mendel's principle. Actually, detail is there with all the proper definition of all the 3 laws given by the Mendel, or the principles given by the Mendel, but because of the reduced syllabus this time, instead of asking the details about the all the 3 principles of Mendel, they just asking about the summary of Mendel principle in short. So as I've told you, 3 principles or the laws given by the Mendel. The first is the law of dominance, as it is very much clear with the term dominance. Here we are talking about the dominant trait. So some alleles are dominant and cover up the recessive alleles. I've told you what is the dominant alleles or the dominant trait? That rules, that hide or covers the recessive trait. Because of the presence of dominant trait, recessive trait could not express itself. So dominant law of dominance means dominant trait always hide or rules over the recessive trait. This is all about the law of dominance, right? For example, T and T, this is the trait for the tallness, and this is the trait for the dwarfness of, and what is the gene that expresses the height of the plant. So if capital T is present, small t never able to express itself. So that means it shows the law of dominance. Wherever the capital letter is present, dominant trait is present, it always hide the recessive one. Now next is the law of segregation. Segregation means to separate. Next, an organism has 2 alleles for each genes. As I've told you, for height of the plant, tallness and dwarfness. For the shape of the seed, round and wrinkled. For the color of the flower, yellow and green. So, two alleles always present for one character. But, what happened? But, they can pass only one. No doubt they have a contrasting character. Maybe the homozygous or maybe the heterozygous. But in every condition, whether it is dominant or recessive, it will pass only one allele to the next generation. Passes only one. Where it has to pass? It has to pass in the next generation, in the offsprings, right? Now the third is law of independent assortment. Both alleles are independent to each other. So, up to the first two laws, we are talking about the two alleles of the same gene. In the third one, we talk about the different alleles of the different gene. Suppose we are taking a gene TT or TT of the tallness, it shows the one gene that is the height of the plant. Right? And on another section, we'll take a RR or RR. That means the shape of the seed. Shape of the seed, round or wrinkled. If we'll take it together, like in dihybrid cross, so no one allele of a gene, one gene, affect the expression of another allele of another gene. Both are independent. Never consider the presence or absence of any of the dominant or recessive gene of the one gene. Is it clear? That means law of independent assortment means when we are taking more than one character together, then the nature or the dominant or recessive section of one gene cannot affect the effect of another gene dominant or recessive factor. So this is all about the three laws. This is the summary of Mendel's principle: law of dominance, law of segregation, law of independent assortment. Now the last topic related to this chapter is the sex determination in humans. We know very well we have 23 chromosomes in pair, or we can say 46 chromosomes in total in humans. Out of these 23 pairs, as it always exists in pair, so instead of saying we have the 46 chromosome, we say we have the 23 pairs. Now out of these 23 pairs, first pair to 22 pairs, they are called autosome. They are called autosome. Why they are called autosome? Because lifelong they are responsible for the growth and repair of the body. They do not take any part in the sexual concept, right? In the reproduction concept. So the last 23rd pair of chromosome is known as sex chromosome. या इसको germ cells भी बोलते हैं, because they are the only pair of chromosome, the last pair of the chromosome that take part in the reproduction. And how it will take part? Because we are the organism that shows the sexual reproduction, so through two parents are required. One is the female and another is male. And we know we have the homozygous pair of chromosome XX in the females in the human, whereas the heterozygous pair of chromosome XY in the male. And it is again in diploid form. First we have, we did in the monohybrid dihybrid cross, we have to separate it and bring it up to the gamete form. That means we have to separate it X, here, X, Y, right? These are called gametes, always in haploid form. These are the chromosomes, always in diploid form. Then what we have to do? We have to make the combinations. We have to solve it in the form of probability. So what we have to do? 1, 2, 3, 4. Alternately 1, 3, 2, 4. What will be the result? XX, XY, X, X and the XY. That means if X chromosome or gamete fuses with the X gamete of male, it always forms the daughter, the girl. If the X gamete of the female fuses with the Y gamete of the male, it will result in the form of a boy, XY. Because we know that in each case, whether it is a boy or the girl, X chromosome always comes from the mother side, the female side. Whereas X or Y of the male chromosome is responsible for the sex of a child. Right? Because if the X of gamete of the male fuses with any one of the X of the female, the newborn will be a child, a girl child. And if the Y gamete of the male fuses with any one of the X gamete of the female, the child will be a boy. So we can say that male is responsible for the sex of a child, not the female responsible for the sex of a child. Because in both the cases, the male, the boy or a girl, contribution of the female is always for the X chromosome. Whereas father, if the contribution is of the X, then the child will be a girl. If the contribution is of the Y chromosome, then it will be a boy child. So this is all about this chapter. This is the last topic, sex determination in humans. So many questions has been asked regarding this topic also. All the topics that I have selected for this chapter is 100% according to the reduced syllabus of 10th class this year, and go through it and get the benefit of it, because through this video so many questions has been solved related to the chapter. Thank you, class.